The Security Council tackles the crisis in Syria. Agriculture is discussed in the General Assembly's Second Committee, and an interview with a delegate from the United States on the Security Council. Tonight on CBC News. What are the key points of your resolution paper?
Our key points are the ceasefire, the peace conference, an arms embargo, humanitarian aid, chemical weapons, and trade sanctions, and other economic sanctions, essentially.
As the conflict in Syria continues to unfold, the Security Council is hard at work trying to find a solution. The United States of America wants NATO to be involved. They believe only NATO has the assets and the ability to deal with this situation properly.
The problem with that was that Russia was unwilling to work with NATO.
What alliance have you entered in with the United States and the UK?
Well, this alliance has been made if the first part of our progressive working paper, which is the ceasefire and the peace conference, does not happen, or we don't come to terms, or none of the parties essentially come to terms, and therefore we're left with nothing.
There's a joint venture between the United States and Russia, and then anybody else that we can have join us respectively. And so there was the United Kingdom. The three of us are hopeful that this venture will be successful.
Azerbaijan, working with some countries, Pakistan, the Bahamas, and Chile, and we're just sort of working through a paper right now that's dealing with some of the subsidy reductions, taking some down some of the trade barriers, including tariffs, working on more trade liberalization, as well as technology transfer and information sharing, bilateral partnerships, in order to sort of work on developing agricultural economies and also creating more of a fair playing field, as we feel.
One of the working papers is very specific. It's focused just on water safety, water security, especially for developing countries.
And then there's another paper. It's very similar to ours. It's got a lot of EU support behind it, and they're a little bit worried about the subsidy piece. So we're trying to kind of work out right now, sort of like a compromise between ours and theirs.
The EU trading bloc and also some other partners we have with the working paper that we're working on is a lot more focused on liberalizing trade through methods that don't include subsidies, and it's also very focused on education and technology building.
Well, that's a very good question, and I think if we, at least from the perspective of the United States, and hopefully from the perspective of many members of the United Nations, if we look at the history of the last 60 years that we've had this United Nations to protect peace and security throughout the world, we can see that conflict is going down. Conflict still exists. It still exists today, and it hopefully will not exist forever, but it will certainly exist for some time to come. What we can do is try to prevent as much conflict as possible, and that is what the United Nations was designed for, and what the Security Council's role is. Is it 100% effective? Absolutely not, and nothing is. Democracy itself is not effective. Government is never effective. No one likes government, but it is a necessary aspect of life to maintain the life that we do want and that we all enjoy. And so while it's not consistently effective, it's necessary and it does work, just not as perfectly as we'd like it to.
Thank you.
I can't fully say whether that would necessarily be a great thing. What I can say is that the veto itself, it can't go away. There's a reason why powers such as the United States, Russia, China, the United Kingdom, there's a reason why these countries have the veto power that they have. Because if, for instance, if the US or China or Russia or the United Kingdom severely disagree with something, if they severely disagree with something, these are almost the sole countries in our world, on our planet, that can legitimately stand up and promote that disagreement through arms. And the reason that we have the veto is so that we never get to a situation to where the U.S. or Russia or China have disagreed so much, and yet we still have, and then a plan is enacted to where China or Russia or the U.S. or the United Kingdom would rise in arms up against that decision that has been made. And that's why we have the veto. Absolutely, we do believe that it is. Our 5 veto powers come from all over the globe, each a selection almost from each hemisphere, And even more than that, we consistently elect members to the Security Council. Well, yes, we do have a consistent permanent membership. We are just this weekend welcoming for the first time a number of new members to the Security Council in the 68th session of the United Nations. It's very exciting. It's always exciting, and they are represented quite well because of it.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good luck with the rest of your work.